You did everything you were supposed to do. You followed the instructions carefully, you stayed disciplined when others were reckless, you worked hard when no one was watching, you saved your money, avoided shortcuts, and believed that patience would eventually turn into security. You trusted that effort would compound, that responsibility would be rewarded, and that the system would meet you halfway if you played by its rules. And yet, here you are. Not broken, not stupid, not lazy. Just tired. Tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Tired in a way motivation quotes don't touch. Tired in a way that comes from realizing something fundamental doesn't add up. Every year, it feels harder just to maintain your position. Every step forward feels smaller than the one before. The distance between where you are and where you thought you'd be by now keeps stretching further away, like a horizon that moves every time you walk toward it. It feels like you're running endlessly on a treadmill, burning energy, burning time, burning focus, but not actually going anywhere. And eventually, a thought appears. Quiet at first, almost dangerous to acknowledge. What if the problem isn't that you're failing? What if the problem is that you were trained to play a game that was never designed for you to win? That single thought changes everything. Because once you allow yourself to consider it honestly, the world starts to rearrange itself. Patterns you ignored suddenly become obvious. Contradictions you tolerated begin to feel unbearable, and the comforting stories you were raised on start collapsing under their own weight. Most people believe there is one path to success, one set of rules, one game that everyone is playing together. There isn't. There are two games running at the same time. The first game is visible. It is taught openly. It is reinforced by schools, employers, parents, governments, and culture. It is the game of obedience, effort, and delayed reward. In this game, you trade time for money. You structure your life around a paycheck. You are rewarded for being reliable, agreeable, and predictable. Risk is framed as irresponsibility. Ownership is postponed until later. Security is promised at the end of a long, narrow road if you stay compliant long enough. This game needs participants. It runs on consistency. It survives because millions of people agree to follow its rules without ever questioning who wrote them or who benefits most from them. The second game is quieter. It is not announced, it is not taught directly, it is learned through proximity, exposure, and pattern recognition. It operates on completely different principles. This game is about leverage instead of labor, position instead of effort, systems instead of sacrifice, control instead of comfort. It does not reward honesty by default. It does not care about fairness. It does not respond to patience alone. It responds to structure, timing, incentives, and scale. The tragedy is not that the second game exists. The tragedy is that most people are raised with values that make them incompatible with it. When you're young, the first game feels reasonable. Mistakes can be blamed on inexperience, struggle is reframed as growth, waiting is romanticized as discipline. You're told that everyone feels behind, that discomfort is normal, and that persistence will eventually pay off. And for a while, that story works. But time changes the equation. After a certain point, patience stops feeling noble and starts feeling expensive. Energy becomes finite, opportunity costs become visible, and the idea that things will work out eventually begins to feel less like wisdom and more like denial. You begin to notice something unsettling. The people who are truly secure don't seem to be working the hardest. They don't seem stressed about the same things. They don't panic the way everyone else does. They move differently. They decide differently. They react differently. They operate from a position of calm that effort alone never seems to produce. That calm doesn't come from optimism. It comes from structure. Every system that depends on compliance must provide psychological cover. It must give people stories that make stagnation feel meaningful and powerlessness feel virtuous. So it does. You're given phrases that soften the discomfort. Money isn't everything. I don't want to be greedy. At least I'm honest. Success isn't worth selling your soul. These statements aren't outright lies, but they are incomplete truths, weaponized as coping mechanisms. They turn lack of leverage into moral identity. They convert fear of failure into philosophical superiority. They allow people to avoid learning uncomfortable skills while still feeling righteous. Comforting beliefs rarely exist to describe reality accurately. They exist to protect the ego from pain. And ego protection always has a cost. Because while you're busy feeling morally correct, the world continues operating according to incentives, not intentions. Many people believe the financial system is unfair because it failed. It didn't. It worked exactly as designed. It rewards ownership over labor, scale over effort, strategy over sincerity. Tax codes, credit systems, corporate law, asset structures, and financial incentives were not created to be fair. They were created to be functional, and they function extremely well for those who understand how to use them. This is not a moral judgment. It is a structural observation. The system does not care if you are a good person. It cares if you are positioned correctly. And once you understand that, something important happens. You stop taking outcomes personally. You stop moralizing success and failure. You stop being confused. And clarity is the foundation of power. The first hidden law of wealth and power is this: you must see reality as it is, not as you wish it were. This sounds simple. It is not. Seeing clearly requires you to interrogate your own beliefs without protecting your identity. It requires you to ask uncomfortable questions and accept answers that do not flatter you. Ask yourself honestly, do my beliefs push me toward action or excuse inaction? Do they increase my options or justify waiting? Do they help me navigate reality or anesthetize discomfort? Many people say money isn't everything, not because it's true, but because they never learned how to earn it without suffering. Many people condemn wealth not because it's immoral, but because ignorance feels safer when disguised as virtue. Clarity is painful because it removes excuses, but confusion is far more dangerous than discomfort. The second hidden law of wealth and power is this: power does not live in income, it lives in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Two people can earn wildly different incomes and have opposite levels of freedom. One earns a massive salary but consumes nearly all of it through lifestyle, debt, and obligation. They look successful, but they are fragile. One disruption can collapse their entire world. Another earns far less but controls their spending, protects margin, and accumulates deployable capital. They look ordinary, but they are dangerous. They have options. The gap is not savings, it is ammunition. Every dollar that does not serve your lifestyle serves your leverage. When income increases without discipline, it creates a faster treadmill. When the gap increases, it creates escape velocity. Those who understand this stop treating extra money as a reward to be spent. They treat it as capital to be deployed. This requires a psychological shift most people never make. You must stop seeing money as a symbol of comfort and start seeing it as a tool of control. The third hidden law is dependency is disguised as security. Most people structure their entire financial existence around a single income stream: one employer, one industry, one paycheck. This is sold as stability. It is not. It is maximum fragility. When your survival depends on one source, you are owned by it. Your speech is filtered, your risk tolerance collapses, your freedom shrinks. You are one decision away from crisis, and you know it, even if you don't admit it. Those who understand power don't think in terms of jobs, they think in terms of cash flow. They build multiple independent streams of income that do not rely on the same gatekeeper.
This is not about hustle culture, it is about optionality. The moment your survival no longer depends on one source, your psychology changes completely. Fear loosens its grip. Negotiation becomes possible. Risk becomes calculated instead of terrifying. The fourth hidden law is leverage beats effort. Time is finite. Leverage is not. The people who remain trapped in labor fight every battle themselves. They trade hours for income and hit a ceiling they cannot break through. Those who escape build systems that work on their behalf. Leverage comes in several forms. Financial leverage allows you to control assets larger than yourself. Time leverage allows systems to produce without your constant presence. Knowledge and media leverage allow one effort to reach unlimited people. The rich are not obsessed with working harder.